Good morning, everyone. Cindy Island here in Leander, Texas, right outside of Austin, Zone 8B. And I'm going to take you on a little journey today, so please like this video if it's of interest to you, and make sure you're subscribed. There's that little bell you can click if you want to get notified that I have some new content up. So I want to talk to you about this mystery that was happening here in my front garden bed, right where everybody passed by. And if you might notice, there's kind of a space here, and if you pretend like this black pot wasn't here, this came later. Well, I had a shrub here. I had another of these abelias, came all the way to the edge of the sidewalk, and I noticed that it began to look sickly. It began to drop all of its leaves. And I thought, well, maybe you're not getting enough water. So I increased the water, and then we went into the winter months. We had a freeze. All the shrubs came back except for this one, and it died. So I thought, well, I don't know what happened, but I went and bought another one, a matching shrub, put it in, and within 6 months, it also shriveled up and died. Then I also noticed there was a salvia right up next to the same area, and it died. So I threw that away and went and bought another salvia, planted that. Within a couple of months, it shriveled up and died. So this time, when I pulled that salvia out of the ground, I just stopped and I really looked carefully to see what could possibly be going on. And I noticed the most horrific thing. The roots of this salvia were covered with knots. It looked like I was growing potatoes. Knotty roots, and I had no idea what this was. So I turned to the internet, I searched up knotty roots, what could that possibly be? And it's nematodes. The scary nematodes, yes, in my yard. So I knew what I needed to do. I immediately took all of the greens in the area here that were, on the edge of dying, and I put them in trash bags and I put them in my trash. I did not compost any of this. And then I went to some nurseries with photos of my knotty rooted plants, and I said, what am I going to do? So there are two really great nurseries here in the area, in the Austin area, and they recommended two different directions. So the one organic method, there was several homeopathic ways I could go. One of them was to plant rye seed and let that go through for an entire season, and supposedly the nematodes would be attracted to that, and they would die. Somebody else suggested crushed seashells, that would somehow kill these nematodes. But I wasn't really getting any organic ideas that really seriously worked. And the nursery people said they really did not feel that those were options that I could really see a difference, especially because this is right front and center where everybody saw my front garden. So the nursery people who are, love to go the organic route really said if I really wanted to get rid of these nematodes, then what I needed to do was use pesticides. So I'm going to put up here on the screen, this is the pesticide they suggested. This is the Monterey Nematode Control. Several nurseries all had the same opinion, that I did need to use a pesticide. And they said that I would actually get some good results. They also warned me that I was going to wipe out my earthworms in this area. And I really thought about it, but I decided that the earthworms will come back, and this was just such an area that was in full show of everyone who came to see my garden said I really needed to do something. So what I did then is that I followed the directions very carefully on the back of the container. This is a concentrate, and there's 32 ounces. You use 8 ounces for every application, so that meant that I would have 4 applications. And this little container here is about $50. So I really did hope it worked. So what I did is I filled this up with water and all the way to the top. So it says you put this in 6 gallons, and this is a 5-gallon container. So then the next thing you do is you water this area where you have your nematodes really well. Just really drench it. After you've drenched it, then you make up your solution. So you take your 5-gallon container, and they said you're going to mix this in 6 gallons, but I found out that if I went all the way to the tippy top, I was fairly close to 6 gallons. And then whenever you're using this kind of chemicals, I definitely recommend good kitchen gloves that you're never going to use again. I would toss these afterwards. But I kind of kept this here on my front porch for the full, for all of the weeks that I was using this, and then I would throw all of this away at the end. I made myself a throwaway bucket just from a milk carton. I just cut the top off with plans to throw this away, and just something from, laundry soap. This is 8 ounces. So I mixed this in. I put in 8 ounces in the 6 gallons of water. I stirred it, and then it says drench the area well. So I just took bucketfuls after bucketful and just drenched this area all around, going out, covering just the entire garden in this area. I just stayed in this area. And then I waited, and then the next Sunday I started doing this every Sunday. I repeated it, and I did it again 2 more Sundays. So for a total of 4 applications of this, according to the directions. And then they recommended several months later you could come back and do an additional application. So then I just waited to see what would happen. I did this in the spring. I waited, and then I said, okay, it's time to plant something here. Let's see if anything is going to survive. So I went out and bought another salvia and I planted it, and let me show you what's happening. So this salvia is new. It's been here for 5 months maybe, and it's doing fantastic. The ground cover is starting to creep into this area here. I've decided not to put a shrub here at this time. I'm just waiting, and what I did was I just put 2 pots, one on the left and one on the right, to kind of camouflage the area, and I think it's working out great. It's not very obvious that there's a big blank area here. So I feel really good about how this is coming along. And if you notice, this salvia looks better than ever. It seems to be filling in, growing bigger and fatter, and I'm just so thrilled with the results. So one of the things that I want to stress here is that I will never share anything from this garden with any of my neighbors, friends, because there probably are still nematodes in this area. Nematodes are microscopic worms that I think we probably always have nematodes, but sometimes they just get more aggressive and just get out of control. There are beneficial nematodes, but they really weren't recommended for these knotty root nematodes. So I know that I felt very distressed during this time. I felt like giving up. This gardening thing was just too hard when you had something like this eating all your beautiful plants that you've put time and effort and money in. But it seems like I'm I'm figuring out a solution. So we'll see over time. I will keep you apprised on how it's going out here. So please comment below if you've ever had some kind of an issue like this. Have you ever had nematodes? What did you do? Maybe you've had a really tough virus or bacteria that just really caused you some major distress and destruction in your garden. So let me know what's happening in your garden. So thank you so much for watching this video with me, and I will have more videos coming soon.